So for the next standard mandolin, I'm going to do a three-piece rosewood back, and that's a great way of using up some of the smaller pieces of rosewood. You know, this wood, I always regard it as being incredibly precious, and as I say, I feel duty bound to use it to its full potential, and say making something like a three-piece back with smaller pieces of rosewood which would otherwise maybe be discarded is, to say, a great way of maximising its potential. And also down the joins, I'm going to use some of this pale ferro, sometimes known as Santos rosewood, although I believe it's not a true rosewood. So that will give some beautiful contrasting stripes, and then I'll also use that around the edge for the bindings. So not only will it look really very nice, it is another way of using up, you know, this precious wood. As I say, I really feel duty bound to make the maximum I can out of any piece of wood. So you can see that I'm kind of getting there now. So we've got the middle section, which is a sort of a wedge shape, and I've marked the centre line down it. I've marked out the other two portions, shot the join. These little notches here are to allow me to apply pressure with a clamp here. And I've also cut these two edges so that they're parallel, again to allow me to apply pressure. So the next thing I need to do is prepare my pale ferro strips, and then I can try to get this glued up. So there are all the pieces, and now we just glue it together. Right, so I've just glued up the back. The tricky part doing something like this is because this middle section is tapered, narrower at this end compared to that end, when you apply pressure on the join, that middle piece wants to go in that direction. So we've got this clamp here to stop it sliding, and we've got these two clamps to stop the side pieces wanting to come back in this direction. So everything needs to be held in place whilst that glue sets. And these are really cool. These are the sort of Japanese mini sash clamps. They're brilliant for this sort of job. Well worth having if you're into instrument making or whatever. But yeah, there's the back glued up, and we'll see what that's like in the morning. So you can get an idea of what the back's going to look like with those two pale ferro stripes running down it. I've also put a piece of the pale ferro in here for the end graft, and of course once the matching bindings are on, that's all going to tie in visually, and it's going to look really pretty. If I flip it over, you can see some of the internal structure here. So we've got this X bracing which holds the back into a kind of a partial dome. We've got the reinforcing strips which run along the joins, and they're also glued on in a curved jig which help hold this curve in place. The X bracing, of course, is let in to that those reinforcing strips, and also the bracing goes into these housing joints in the solid linings there. So once that's glued in place, the whole thing is a very rigid kind of reflective structure. Yeah, so the next job for me before I actually glue that on is to get the top fitted. Welcome back to the workshop, and as you've just seen, I'm making really good progress with the next mandolin, and here is now the completed body. You can see this beautiful Indian rosewood and how the how ferro works with the stripes and the bindings and the end graft, how it ties it all together. So that's looking really good. We've also got an Adirondack red spruce soundboard there with the sound hole simply bound, and you can see that I've cut the pocket here, or the mortise, for the neck. So that really is the body completed. So the neck on this one is made from some really lovely, I think it's old Honduras mahogany that I had. As always, I've got my carbon fibre running down underneath the what will be the fretboard. The neck's laminated with a strip of rosewood down the centre of it, and of course I've got a rosewood head overlay, so that matches the body. You can see that everything's pre-drilled now for the tuners, and I've started carving the volute there. The tenon part of the joint has been cut roughly, so what I've got to do now is finesse that and get it to fit into that pocket on the body perfectly. So continuing on my rosewood theme, I've got the fretboard made up. The piece of tape is just to allow me to mark clearly the centre line, and you can see that I put position markers along that what will be the top edge of the fretboard. So yeah, so there's the fretboard. That will be ready to go on pretty soon. Yeah, so there we have it then. A sneak preview of my latest standard mandolin, and this should be complete and ready for sale, or I should imagine early summer this year, 2023. And as I've said before, the price for my standard mandolins is £925, including a Hiscox case. So if you're interested in this, keep an eye on the website, etc., and hopefully it'll be ready soon. So there you go. Right, well, thanks very much for taking the time to watch the video, and yeah, until I see you again, you take care and keep safe. Cheers.